So how are you feeling? Food prices 25% higher, gas over $5 a gallon, increasing inflation. You thought wearing a mask was a pain, but this really does hurt. Unless, of course, you're the top 1%. Then your income has actually increased during the COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine. But this is not a recent phenomenon. During the last 30 years in America alone, the top percent saw their income rise by $21 trillion. That's trillion with a T. The bottom 50% of wage earners saw their income decline by $900 billion over the same time frame. So what's the problem? Why are you struggling to pay your bills and some can afford to take trips into space? Why, the problem is capitalism, of course. And the most successful propaganda campaign in the history of the world, convincing everyone that the free market means freedom. Tell your boss you don't like how you and the other workers are treated. Go take that much needed vacation. Go fly to Europe and visit all the countries you dreamed about. Are you having a child? Take a year off to be with your newborn. You can't? Are you living paycheck to paycheck like 70% of other Americans? Then tell me, what the fuck are you talking about when you say you have freedom? Do you know who has freedom under capitalism? The capitalists have freedom. The owners, the corporations, the bankers, those in government in bed with special interest groups that profit at your expense. If you aren't an owner, if you're not a banker, you're not a capitalist. You're a wage slave working for a capitalist, and worse, you've been duped into supporting and even fighting for this system that keeps you enslaved. The premise of capitalism is that if everyone tries to do what's best for themselves, if everyone tries to screw each other, to exploit each other for their own benefit, this somehow works in a magical way to benefit all of society. If this sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. Studies show the trickle-down effect is a fable. Companies do not pass on increased profits to workers. Austerity shrinks the economy, and competition leads to greater inequality. The basis of capitalism is growth. Growth, 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 constant growth. It's all the politicians and economists talk about, the growth of the economy. But growth is another word for increasing profits. And how does this growth, how does this increased profits happen? By workers increasingly productivity, by working longer hours, by businesses cutting salaries, they cut benefits, they cut your medical, they shorten your vacations, and maybe they take away paternity leave. Or maybe, just maybe, fire all the workers and move into a country where you can pay poverty wages with no restrictions on the age, no restriction on how much hours you can work. Think about this. Is this good for you? Is this good for your family? Increasing profits, the core of capitalism, at the expense of human beings and the environment. Capitalism is a system of unlimited growth in a finite world. How many fish and trees are there? Oil, fresh water, even clean air are not limitless. Capitalism does not take this into consideration, nor does it take into account for the human toll. For every homeless person in America, there are 10 unoccupied homes or apartments. Houses are not built for human need, they're built to make a profit. Human trafficking, child slavery, hunger, war, destitution. How much will we sacrifice for this system that only benefits the top percentile? When is enough enough? The 2008 housing market crash, the COVID pandemic, which resulted in millions losing their jobs and subsequently their health insurance, and now this war in Ukraine. Isn't this enough for you to realize things are no longer like you're being told? I lived in Florida many years, and every time a hurricane hit, the price of a bottle of water went up like 10, 12 bucks. Is this some magical wand controlling the price of water? Or is it people seeing an opportunity under capitalism to take advantage of each other and make a profit? And this is exactly what is happening in the world right now on a larger scale. The war has affected the shipment of wheat, grain, oil. The corporations use this crisis to charge more and increase the profits. But they tell you that the conflict is to blame. Russia is to blame. When oil companies are making record profits, Weapons manufacturers are making money hand over fist, and Congress is enriching themselves from their energy and military manufacturing stocks at your expense. It doesn't take a genius to realize they don't want this war to end anytime soon. GE is one of the largest and most profitable corporations in America. They paid exactly $0 in taxes last year. And the neoliberal excuse is these corporate giants need incentives to hire workers and bring jobs. They help the economy. However, all empirical studies have shown this to be false. In Seattle, where a $15 hour minimum wage was mandated, the neoliberals flipped their lids, saying the businesses would fire workers to save money, and the huge Seattle restaurant industry would just collapse. But just the opposite has happened. The result has been people actually now have the money to buy goods and can eat. They can afford to eat at the restaurants in which they work. You have been tricked. You have been lied to. And the toll you must pay for supporting this economic system continues to get costlier and costlier. What needs to happen before you finally had enough? What affinity you must have for that top 1% that you sacrifice your freedom, your well-being, the well-being of your family, and indeed, your very happiness for those motherfuckers.